what I wanted to say was I had this reflection and some conversations in the last couple of weeks about being all in. If you have a disease as I do, I have no human solution. I have a spiritual solution because I have a spiritual problem. And it demands one thing. What is that one thing? That I be all in. And so that's kind of what my reflection was, and a couple of us have been talking about what does all in look like. And so if you've done any step work, if you've got an addiction, number one, I have to concede to my inmost being that I am helpless, that I have no power over this, and it has power over me, and there's an internal problem. Number two is that I have to be convinced, and Nana and Pa can't convince me. Lots of things can't convince me. I need to be convinced by the power of God. And then number three, I actually make a declaration of being all in. And what it says in this book, we do this little prayer, and then we go through a process of actually committing to being all in. And so it says, after I say this prayer and I abandon my life, it says, this was only the beginning, though if honestly and humbly made, an effect was felt at once. So me being all in, there's an effect. And I had never seen that before. What's the effect? And I thought of a couple times where I was all in. I was all in the first time I went to jail. They pick you up in a little car, they put handcuffs in your back, and it's not a nice ride. And then they open a gate, then they lock a door, and ka-chunk, you're in. And it's like, I'm fully in, and I remember that feeling, going like, my life was pretty crappy. There was a feeling of like, oh, I'm out of the storm. I'm on timeout. Like sometimes I got to play with other guys in here. Like, yay. Hi, everybody. And it's like I had an effect at once of being all in. Like I didn't have a choice. I'm all in here. You have very little contact with the outside world, if at all, because no one wants to speak to you. But you have very limited contact anyway. And then I go about learning the principles and the values of being all into that community. Number one, don't reach for the salt. That almost killed me. Like some man threatened my life because I touched the salt in front of him. And he said, I'm going to kill you. And I just said, I believe you. I didn't know what else to do. And can I have the salt? And then number two, you don't watch Cops. You just don't watch that show. Like there's things that you learn in there. Yeah, because the bad guy always gets caught. I learned that too. It's like, you don't watch that show because we're all in here because of those guys. Just little things that you learn. And I learned to abide by the values and the principles that this life had to offer. And so coming into this new life this is what I'm abandoning my old life, and either I'm all in or I'm not. And this whole half measures availed us nothing is a real thing if you have a deadly disease, in which I do. And so the second part of that was getting released. You would think that's a good thing, but as soon as I was released, there was a door that opened and shut, a gate that opened, and they give you 2 little tickets for the number 125 bus that goes everywhere in Blackburn and Orleans. And you have a lot of time to think. And I was like so anxious and worried, but I thought this would be a good thing. I got released, but now I have to face the consequences of this life that I don't know how to live. And all I thought was, I need a drink. And I was all in on that life. And so this is what it's asking me. If you want a new life, you have to abandon the life that you have and go all in on a life that you don't really know much of, but all in is all in. And then you're going to learn the values and the principles of what it means to be all in the spiritual life. So I just wanted to share that with you. Being all in is going to produce an effect in you. There's something that happens in you that you will feel. Of being all in, that's kind of scary because you don't really know what's going to happen.